Xbox recently has come out with a new marketing thing saying that everything is an Xbox, which I think at first I was like, I don't know how I feel about this marketing. But now I'm like, wait a second. That might be like the most genius marketing out there. And they might actually be plugged into something that is a little bit wiser than maybe even PlayStation or Nintendo are doing. But before we get into it, let's make this work. So there's a lot here, I know. Let's figure out what we're brewing. We got 1 through 4, 5 through 8, 9 through 12, 5 through 7, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so let's see. What are we dealing with today? 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going V60, so we can say bye-bye to the Kalita Wave and the AeroPress. Okay, so we're going to say bye-bye to those two. And then what coffee are we going to be drinking today? We're either going to be even and odds, okay? Even and odd, we're going D20. And we got an even, a 1. You never want to see that. It's got even, odd, right? Even. And then lastly, we're going to do, what cup are we going to be using today? Cup is going to be a 3, so that is going to be green. All right. Cool. All set. Now, Xbox recently has come out with this huge marketing plan. The marketing thing is, this is an Xbox. This is an Xbox. You get a, you know what I mean? And they basically have made it so that every single thing that you can think of is an Xbox. A TV is an Xbox. Your phone's an Xbox. While I think the marketing is a little bit silly, I think the point that they're proving is pretty powerful. Is that Microsoft as a gaming brand, so the Xbox division of Microsoft, some people are like, oh, they're giving up. I don't think so. I think that this was the plan all along, something I talked about years ago, is Xbox understands that people are they care less, especially us dads. They care less about the platform. They care less about what you're playing on specifically. All they care about is access. And for me as a dad, access has been granted to me in such a magnificent way with the introduction of the Steam Deck into the gaming space, as well as, for me now, PC gaming, which seems to be something that may not have granted as much access to some, but for me, it granted a tremendous amount. This has granted me access in a way that I find to be absurdly rewarding. Playing games on the Steam Deck has been such a powerful experience for me. And I don't know, actually, come to think of it, I want to see let's see how much coffee is here. Let's see. Let's open this up. But playing games on the Steam Deck and PC has been very rewarding. Let's make a guess. Look in here, okay? For those of you who are just listening, I'm sorry you're not seeing this. I'm thinking based on this, and it's a Peaberry, I'm going to go with actually, I would need to see how much is in the cup. And so we have this zeroed out. So let's go ahead and dump this in the cup, and I'll be able to know more. Okay, that right here, I think is like 30. I'm going to say it's like 33 grams. 33 grams. 44, way off. Okay. I do not know volume. We're doing V60 today. So we're going to go with you know what? I can get an AeroPress out of this. So we're going to actually go down to, we're going to do 30, and I could get an AeroPress out of 14 grams. So we're going to grind this for the V60 and get back to the conversation at hand, which is all about access. Xbox has kind of been doing this thing, especially with the introduction of the Series S, that has been allowing for gamers to choose really their way to play. The Series S originally, when it was released, was something that, because of what was happening worldwide with shortages on parts, was like this thing that people didn't... That's what they got, honestly. Like, the Series X dropped, but people couldn't find a Series X. And so, I had covered it plenty of times, but the Series S ended up becoming kind of the fan... pick, not because it's better than the Series X, although I do think it's a much better value, but rather because it was all that existed and people had to figure out, okay, how are we going to do this? Well, not just that, but Xbox as a company was like, okay, well, obviously this is the thing that we're going to have to lean into because our Series X's aren't getting out there. They're just not being able to get picked up. And so we saw this introduction of a way of gaming that was a little bit different than what we were used to, right? There was this idea that, yes, I am going to play video games, but because of how everything happened worldwide, we had a part shortage and a tremendous increase in gaming, all while at the same time of a new generation of gaming coming out, the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series. There was this idea of like, well, maybe, just maybe, the next latest and greatest isn't necessarily the most important thing, but rather access is what's important. And then we saw stuff pop off like Game Pass Ultimate, as well as PlayStation Plus Premium. I had a different PS Now was their service for their online gaming or their online streaming for a while, and then they switched it to just kind of make everything one name, like they unified the moniker. But this type of gaming became more and more popular. But then something happened with the introduction of the Steam Deck. We understood that it was less about the platform, less about the provider, right? Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, and more about access. And this idea of access became like the number one most important thing to gamers. Game Pass became this access. People could play, especially with Game Pass Ultimate, people who had PC, they could play their game. And with the introduction of the xCloud type of gaming, which I don't know anyone who used it, right? I'm not saying that no one did, but I don't know anyone who really capitalized on that way of gaming. But xCloud being a way to cloud stream your games on anything, right? Whether it's on an iPad, whether it's through the browser, whether it's on something like the Logitech G Cloud, cloud gaming and streaming games became more and more of a thing. So as stuff kept developing and stuff kept, happening, gaming, the world of gaming was recovering from this wildly, this crazy time, geographically or worldwide. We saw that access became the primary. Now, if we want to just really take not shots, but understand who's who in the zoo, Xbox is a part of Microsoft. Microsoft is not a gaming company. While they do have games, they have a gaming department. Microsoft originally, right, they're all about the computers, right? Windows. The very machines that I use, I understand Microsoft is responsible for the operating system. It's not the only operating system that exists. I understand that, but Microsoft is in the computer game. Now, what is happening with computers? If we were to run with this idea of Microsoft being a part of the what is computers? Well, computers is multi-spec, multi-platform, right? We have different types of computers. We have big giant gaming rigs like what I have, or we have tiny little laptops. We have stuff that has, different types of operating systems to a certain extent, but we have devices that are handhelds like the Asus ROG Ally X. Windows, the marketing for Windows could very easily be what we saw for Xbox. This is a Windows machine. This is a Windows machine. This is a Windows machine. And simply what we see more and more is this idea of Xbox. Now let's future cast for a second. Let's future cast. Just a brief moment. What if, and this is something that literally just hit my dome as I was sniffing that coffee, and that coffee hit the little parts of my brain that goes, hey, JD, you're about to be a very, very alert boy. What if this idea of this is Xbox is just this small, subtle whisper in the ear, this earworm that will turn into a full brain manifestation of what if Xbox or Microsoft develops an OS for Windows that is Xbox? Right? What if Xbox turns into that OS? We certainly are seeing something along the lines with the, Xbox game streaming or stuff like that, or this, the Asus ROG Ally is an Xbox, your phone's an Xbox, your Xbox is an Xbox. And I know that there's been a lot of frustration around this idea of Xbox becoming anything. And so people are like, well, what about the very thing that I spent all this money on? And I'm like, I get it, right? I get it. If you bought the Xbox Series X and you're like, I bought it because it was supposed to be something that was supposed to like take me into the next generation, and now it seems like they're nerfing it. I would argue they're not nerfing it. What they're doing is they're understanding what the time is. They're understanding who they are in this place. And most of all, they're understanding that when it comes to gaming as a whole, access has truly become the king. At one point in time, power was the thing, right? Remember the Nintendo 64? Their whole marketing was all around power, the 64-bit gaming. But 64-bit never really was realized. They never utilized actually the power that existed in that space, and it wouldn't have mattered because at the end of the day, a good-looking game didn't matter. The revolution had already taken place. 3D space, right? PlayStation 1, Xbox, Nintendo 64, even into the Dreamcast era. Like, this 3D space was already happening, and so the real thing was, how do you utilize that space? And so power ended up becoming this thing that existed to assist in utilizing this 3D space, make games in a new way. Well, personally, I think we've kind of hit the top tier. That's yummy. We've hit the top tier of what games can do. I think we're kind of entering into a space where mechanics are really a big deal. Optimization seems to be a new conversation that is happening. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I can play this game on this. And it would be funny if we started moving backwards. That seems to be how it's happening with gaming because access is such a really big deal. When it comes to games as a whole, it seems that like as time is going on, we are more excited about playing these huge giant games like Indiana Jones or even Path of Exile 2, which isn't as demanding, or just Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, all of these things, and we go, I can't believe I can play this on the Steam Deck? It's like people are more fascinated with the idea of how can I get a AAA massive, huge title to run on something like a cell phone. This is the future, and the future of gaming isn't because of platform. It's because of access. And that's something that I think Microsoft is actually hip to. They understand that. I mean, they proved it to themselves with Game Pass. They go, okay, how can we give people as many games as possible? Do people actually care about ownership? And I'd say there are half a dozen to a dozen people, myself being one of them, who will cry about it on the internet and make it seem like it's a big deal. But in the grand scheme of things, people don't have rooms in their house where they can have 300 volumes of manga and showcase all of their games as well as have just a dedicated spot. That's just not realistic. And for a lot of us dads, and the average age of a gamer being a 35-year-old, for a lot of us who have been playing games for a while collecting seems like a good idea, I mean, let's be real. Ask yourself or ask your wife, would she be excited to see your games collection? Also, do you live in a place where you can dedicate a room or, like this idea of having things is to some worth it. That's fine. I'm not saying that it's not. But the all-digital future, as annoying as it may be, does come with a level of convenience, and the all-streaming future does come with a level of access that, I'm just going to say it as I sees it, is very, very appealing. I mean, the fact that you can play all these, I can play every Gears of War, every Halo game, all the stuff, and the commitment's low because I don't have to buy it. Like, I despise the idea that gaming no longer becomes something that you feel like you invest in, as far like I'm holding it. But I can't be ignorant to the fact that the idea that gaming is a service, gaming as a service, not service games, but gaming as a whole, as a service, isn't a good idea. To some, they would say it's bad, and I've said it before, but I think that I'm coming around to the idea with understanding how different companies are trying to do it, right? When you have stuff like Xbox creating gaming as a service, not service game. You understand what I'm saying here? Like, you have a device that can run Game Pass, and you pay for that service, and now you have access to all of those games. Like, that is a very appealing thing. And I think that once we understood that there are more people playing video games, and there are more people that are wanting to participate in this hobby, the barrier of entry has been decreased exponentially. I think the Series S is the entry-level device that everybody could look into to have a good experience with gaming. Now having a bigger internal storage of 2 terabytes, or is it 1 terabyte? Do they have a 2 terabyte option? I'm not too certain. But now having that entry level, I honestly believe the Series S is one of the greatest introductions into gaming. Yes, it cannot run at the highest level, but to a lot of people, access is what's more important. The fact that we are running games the way they do on this is crazy, and it makes so much sense that Microsoft would apply the very logic or the very thing that happens with their own PC games. Hey, let's release a game on, or developers, we're releasing a game on the Windows platform. We need to understand that game needs to be able to be played on something that is as big as this giant rig in my office, if not bigger, and something as small as a gaming laptop or just a standard laptop from just a few years ago, maybe longer than that. We want to be able to have options here for people to play on a low setting, but still be able to experience some sort of performance that is adequate, some sort of stability rather, not performance. And also have the ability to play the game as we tried to push the limits of what you can see, play, and experience. Like, this idea isn't new. And so Xbox being like, yeah, we've been optimizing for the Series S, which is the lesser, so that we can now implement this idea of playing games anywhere, however, is actually quite beautiful. The Steam Deck itself is my version of that, but it does something a little different. Though it can cloud stream, that is something it can do. It is my native way to do the very thing I just talked about. What's whilst mean? Whilst owning? Is whilst a word? I think it is. Who knows, dude? I want to take a side note real quick. I have a little bit of a grog voice today. It's been drier than fill in the blank. There's so many funny ones. Fill in the blank. Okay. It's been dry here, and so my whole unit, dude, from chin to forehead has been like, hey, double middle fingers to you, bro. And now it went from super dry to now it's moist. And so I am draining like someone who just ate Taco Bell. Got it. You don't buy Taco Bell. You rent it. Shots fired. Back to the gaming thing. I love the idea that gaming is more accessible. And to the fanatic, to the Xbox fan who's like, why the hell did I buy an Xbox if if PlayStation people can play my game? A few problems with that statement. One problem is it's not yours. There is a sense of ownership that we have over the things that we have been participating in because it becomes a part of our identity, which may or may not be a good idea for you as a person to identify yourself as someone who is linked to a specific product or company. You're bigger than that. I can assure you they don't care about you the way that you think they do. But I can understand where years and years and years of investment into a specific platform because you feel like that platform is the one that is going to serve you best, and you will lose access to the very things that you've grown to love about that platform's offering. And so much so that you would sacrifice the games you would be able to play on another platform. I can understand where frustration may arise. Where you're like, well, I've always wanted to try God of War, and I don't own a PC. And the fact that I purchased an Xbox because I thought I was only going to be able to play here when I could have gotten a PlayStation, that's a bummer. But that person, I feel like, is a little bit more level-headed and is probably not going to be as upset. But the sentiment that PlayStation users shouldn't be able to play games and exclusivity to a console should... Dude, Xbox is done as a singular console, and it's been that way since the introduction of the Series S. It's actually been that way since the introduction of the X Cloud. And it's not because you can't just play games on that console. It's because it was clear from the very beginning, especially with all these different developers, who knows, these studios that Microsoft is buying up, that Microsoft is doing something very, very smart. while also not managing it well, so it would seem. But I'm no CEO. I'm just a person on the internet who drinks coffee. So what do I know? What they're doing is they are understanding that the console market is not what it used to be. That this idea of gaming on a specific thing is going to die. It is on its way out. The only last living console that will ever be able to hold market share because of their console is Nintendo. It's just a plain fact. Sony is dropping games on PC. One of my favorite games of all time, Final Fantasy Rebirth, is being dropped on PC, and I'm going to play it again on PC. Why? Because I have a PC. The console world has shifted, and consoles have become an entry level into video games. But these companies are no longer holding exclusivity. A PlayStation is simply access to games that Sony offers, but if you have a PC, you will be able to play those games on PC. An Xbox is a similar thing, but Xbox takes it a step further. They say you don't need our hardware to play our games. And in understanding that, they're going, hey, let's just collect as many developers as possible so that we can still get a piece of the pie when we eventually, yes, I'm going to say it, release our games on Sony or on PlayStation or whatever. It's genius. I wouldn't say it's genius. It's just simple marketing and business. Why would they hold on to just a singular console when they see that the Steam Deck, the Asus ROG Ally X, the Lenovo Legion Go, the MSI Claw, Aya Neo, all of these devices are so appealing to gamers? When someone goes, yeah, I can just play all these games on my ROG Ally X or my Steam Deck, why wouldn't Microsoft go, well, then let's just get a piece of every game? It's very, very wise. Now, I wish Steam and Microsoft played a little bit better, and hopefully Steam and Microsoft will play better because it's a good idea. Now, I understand they're competing stores, but if Microsoft owns these publishers, they're still getting a piece of the pie. So, I get, but I believe that this idea of I want Windows on my mobile, I want a better version of handheld Windows. Boys, it's going to be Xbox. They're going to do it that. It's clear. It's so clear that handheld feel that you're looking for, that Steam Deck-like feel that you want with your Asus ROG Ally X or Lenovo Legion Go, all these Windows-based devices, that Microsoft is moving in that direction. And, I mean, love it or hate it, I think it's a good idea from a business standpoint. Why wouldn't you lean into access over hardware? Why wouldn't you understand that the market of gamers, the ones who have disposable income, are ones who want to be able to move around? I don't think I'm the minority here. I don't think the idea that moving around, having flexibility, and being respected with my device, I don't think I'm the minority. I think that having all of the gear I have is the minority, but I'm a content creator, so it's going to be a little bit different. But I don't think the idea of being I want to be able to play my games in my office, on my couch, over there, I don't think that, I really don't think that's the minority. I think that's a lot of people. I really do. And so this marketing thing that Xbox did to bring it back, people seem to be all up in arms about it, but I think that people are missing the point. The point is the future of gaming is access. And we see it in all avenues. Digital gaming allows for access immediately. Subscription-based gaming allows for access wholly with all of these different games. Cloud gaming allows for access mobilely. Handheld machines allows for access locationally. And lastly, Xbox's Game Pass service, with every different thing that exists with it, allows for access universally. And so it's a very, very interesting time in gaming to see these things happen. Are you going to get Baldur's Gate on these things? I don't know. What would it look like to have third parties be fully a part of this and all third parties? Who knows? Is a rental system going to exist for PC and X? I don't know, man. But I do know this. Gaming right now is really, really vibrant. And it's super exciting. And I'm really, really passionate about it because of how cool it is. My commitment to you is to be excited and to continue in that and to help foster that excitement into a good, diverse, vibrant community through Discord, through these cups, and through streams from time to time. Shifting ideas and my time always is all over the place, so I'm having to be very, very creative with how I create. And so you're always going to see some ebb and flow of styles and stuff like that. But in this idea of gaming universally, in this idea of gaming, I feel like there's one thread that exists, and that is daddies want a game, baby. Ain't that the truth? Daddies want a game. So get out there and game, dude. Get out there and have a good time. You know? It is what it is, huh? Sip on some coffee today. Tell someone you love that you love them. Kiss the boys as always, because it's important. Give a little smoochy smooch on your best bud's forehead and tell him, hey, you're a cutie patootie. He'll appreciate it, especially if it's in the middle of a work day. All right, you silly gooses. Cheers to you. Play more. Be kind. See ya.